Okay, we're recording. Well, thank you. I am so delighted that you've chosen to spend an hour with me exploring this topic of courageous leadership in a very unique time in our lives. So, I am showing up just to be supportive in service, to be connected to you all at a time when I don't want to feel disconnected from the people who mean so much to me, whether we're connected through coaching or workshops or online. Um, I'm just so grateful that you're here. So let's get going. I just want to start with a land acknowledgement. This is something I'm really paying attention to. My own settler status. Just pay if, sorry, I'm just going to take a timeout. If your microphone keeps hopping on, you can just do your best to stay muted. That would be really helpful to me. So recognizing settler status, I just want to acknowledge I work and play and learn on the unceded Coast Salish territory of the Algonquin and Wasanic nations. And I hope you'll just be connected to whatever lands you are learning and working and playing on, and just be attentive to that. And I do think in times like this, I think, gosh, I think these elders can support us as we're navigating these new and uncertain times. So just connecting to that. Here's how we're going to show up. So just some ground rules for how we'll navigate this hour together. This will be a practice in being, just being here, being you, being with others in a learning space and a connected space. I would love for you to access the chat box so you can find your menu bar, open up the chat, and just share your thoughts, feelings, and questions in the chat. And I've got some team members supporting that who I'm going to introduce you to. We will keep track of your thoughts and feelings and questions. We're not going to have a lot of space in this hour to bring people on to ask questions and have dialogue. I'm going to do my best to answer questions on social media, follow up emails. I do have a way to support you outside of this webinar. There's just so much content, and I've got some other fun ways to engage you. So we're going to stay muted on video and microphone, mostly to conserve bandwidth. I do want you to have a device available. So if you've got your phone, or you might be able to do this as well on your computer at the same time, we're going to do some interactive things on menti.com. So have your device handy. Try not to look at it too much outside of some of these fun activities. And I really just wanted to create a space for I consider you my community, my Inspired Results community, and I just wanted us to come together and have a shared experience. So that's my intention, to create a space for you to think about how you are leading right now, how you're leading in your life, in your family, in your community, and in your organizations. So we're going to think about what courageous leadership looks like right now. So this framework kind of came to me probably 10 days ago. It was like a crystal clear kind of download, and kind of a mental download. And so we've been busy putting this together into visually appealing framework, and now offering some learning to help ground you in your leadership. I want to create connection today, which is why I would love for you to connect on the chat so that you feel connected to the people here. And most of all, I just want to share my gratitude for you to choosing to spend an hour with all of us and with me, and your ongoing support of me in my growth as a coach and a leader. And this framework is as much for me as it is for you. So I look forward to grounding in it today as well. So I have some exciting introductions I want to make. I'm going to invite first Nicole to come on, just maybe on video and audio. Nicole is one of my new associate coaches. I'm so excited to have her alongside me, and she's going to support us today as well. So Nicole, do you want to just come in and say hello?
Can you see me? Hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, you look great.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole. I can see from some of the names that I've met you already at some Dara Leads, and I'm just thinking like how incredible this opportunity is, like to be here, Diane. You know, there's 61 people logged on right now. That just goes to show how many of us really want this connection and time to be together. And so I'm really grateful to be here and leading you through some mindfulness as we go throughout our day today.
Hmm. Thank you, Nicole. I'm so looking forward to the mindfulness part.
Mhm.
And Kayla Pilecki. So Kayla is also an associate coach who brings many talents to the team. And she's in the Royal Roads coaching program and the final stretches there. So Kayla, do you have a second to come in and say hello?
Yeah, can you guys see me?
Yeah, and you sound
Okay.
great.
Hi. Today I am looking through the chat to grab questions so that we can respond to them over social media in the next week or so. So anything that comes up for you, pop it in the chat and I'll record it down.
Thank you for supporting me with time management as well, Kayla. So
Mhm.
appreciate it. Yeah, so very exciting times here at Inspired Results Group to be expanding the team. And I also just want to give a shout out to Rachel, who's in the background. Rachel's doing all the marketing, supporting us to get all of this great content to you online. And I could not do this without these three amazing women in my life. Okay, so here's where Diane's going to test her multitasking abilities. And I want you to think about this question as we start. What are you feeling grateful for in this moment? So while you're thinking about that, I am going to bring up a different page. Okay, so here's the interactive part. If you have that other device handy and you go to menti.com, just type in the code 80734 and it will bring you to this question. And on your device, you just answer the question, what are you grateful for in this moment? And we're going to see 62 answers hopefully arrive onto the screen here. So fun. Kayla, I'm just checking. Can you see the screen? Everybody see the word cloud coming together?
Yep.
Great, great. Oh, clear thinking. That's awesome. Family. It's a lot of people themes here. Meaningful work, technology. Yes, I'm so grateful that the technology seems to be working in this moment. Meditation, family, health. Yes. Oh, that was so beautiful. So beautiful. I'm going to be able to capture this chocolate. Oh, yeah. I like this. Thank you for sharing your gratitude and just connecting to that as we think about what it means to be courageous leaders. Awesome. So there's a second question on this Menti code, and we're going to just check in. I just want to see kind of your starting place in terms of your beliefs about leadership. So here are some beliefs I've heard expressed from clients that they need to be an expert in order to manage or lead a team. They need to be the expert in everything. They need to have authority and be directive. They need to have all the answers. So just slide along, toggle along. Where do you sit right now in some of your beliefs around leadership in these different areas? I often hear this one around, the harder I work, the more I'll be respected. I love the real-time nature of this. This is great. so interesting. We're not seeing a lot of wide divide on this. This is really interesting. Okay, so just sitting kind of in the 2 to 2.5, not super attached to these beliefs is what I'm taking away from this group of people. Great, which is why you're so open to working with me and to learning more about the Courageous Leadership Framework. Wonderful, thank you for playing. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my slide deck and we're gonna come back to Menti later, so don't lose that device. All right, Kayla, are we back? Can you see the slides again? Can you see the Courageous Leadership?
Yep, we're good.
Thank you. So this framework is which came to me clearly, and I know it's because I have been learning, and I just want to acknowledge and recognize that a lot of the learning I've been doing that informed this framework certainly comes from Brene and the Dare to Lead curriculum. It also comes from Conversational Intelligence, which is a book by Judith Glaser. And so a lot of the neuroscience pieces are informed by the work I did in her program. And then, of course, the Masters in Leadership journey I've been on shows up in here as well. So these are not original Diane thoughts, but a compilation of my learning and what I see showing up in coaching. So you have this framework. Hopefully you were able to download it from the email that came out. If you didn't grab that download, we will send another email afterwards. So I want you to be able to print this out, share it widely. This is not about holding on to something and keeping it tight. This is about sharing it widely so that people can feel supported and maybe reframe the idea of what does being courageous right now look like. And here's the why behind this framework for me, is that right now in the times that we're in, which are very unsettling, uncertain, and there's not a lot of knowns right now, that can trigger a lot of amygdala thinking. So that reptilian brain, the fight, flight, protect ourselves brain can light up a lot of the time. And the stress or anxiety we might be feeling is going to activate the amygdala. And we just know that we're not able to think at our best from that place. So we want to be able, as leaders and as leaders of ourselves, how can we activate the prefrontal cortex, which is where our really good thinking happens. This is where creativity comes from, the ability to hold multiple perspectives, and good decision-making comes from the prefrontal cortex. So courageous leadership in this framework we're going to touch through today is about inspiring good thinking in yourself and in others. And that's the why behind this framework. So I want to walk you through the framework. We're going to touch on each of the pieces of the puzzle. And we're going to start with calm. So the first piece of the puzzle, and really connecting to the idea that if we want to inspire calm in others, we need to feel calm within ourselves. And what I've been really grateful for lately is working with Nicole and experiencing her skills in mindfulness and meditation in order to help me feel calm in moments like this and day to day. So I'm going to invite Nicole to come in and take us through an experience to help us feel calm in this moment.
Hi, everyone. So what I'm going to ask you to do so that your body can fully experience this breathing technique is that however you're situated on your computer right now, just allow both of your feet to press down into the floor. So we're offering ourselves a sense of grounding and connectedness to the earth below us. Once you feel that both of your feet have been planted, I do invite you to close your eyes, allow your jaw to relax, find a slight tilt of your chin towards your chest so that you feel the length happen along the back of your neck. And now what we're encouraging here is allowing our nervous system to drop into the parasympathetic nervous system. When we're here, this is when we tap more instinctively and more intuitively into the more empathetic side of ourselves. We pull ourselves out of thinking and drop more into being. So let's get connected to our breath. I invite you to exhale, let go of what you have in you right now. And then take a full breath in. Begin to feel your belly expand, your ribs, and your chest. And now hold this breath. Now open up, exhale. Push all of this air out. Get rid of any stagnation that's maybe lingering there at the bottom. Spend a breath in emptiness. And now take another full inhale through the nose. Fill up belly, ribs, chest, and hold. As you're holding this breath, you might notice the slight vibration in your body, the tendency to go back and forth, side to side, and now open up, exhale. Push all this air out. This is like a cleansing of the breath, your filtration system of your body. Allow everything to be pushed up and out. And then one more time together. Full, slow, deep breath in through the nose. You feel your belly get big, then the ribs, then the top of your chest may even puff up. You hold that breath. And now open up, exhale, push it all out. So simply by doing 3 rounds of breath, just like that, of inhaling, holding, exhaling, and then allowing yourself to be empty for a moment, this starts to repattern and re-regulate our nervous system. And this is going to take you out of that fight or flight and bring you more into this sense or state of rest and digest. So I hope that's helped you. Thanks, Diane.
Thank you, Nicole. It definitely helped me. I can feel my heart rate's calmer, and that breathing exercise, back to that brain picture, this is what helps us open up the prefrontal cortex. So now we're able to think, receive, and be calm. So back to that piece of the puzzle, how are you modeling calm? By practicing calm and really using your breath in this simple yet profound exercise throughout your day. So that's what we wanted to highlight for you, the experience of calm. So let's talk about the second piece of the puzzle, which I like to think of as co-creative. There's lots of ways to think about co-creative. I want you to think about opportunities you have. Your team might be your family right now. How could you co-create a solution? Creativity, I believe, is the leadership skill that we are all leaning on right now as we pivot in every aspect of our life and leadership. You know, working from home, we have to get creative about how we set up our space, creative in ways that we connect. You know, my parents are getting creative and using the video feature on Messenger, Facebook Messenger. I'd never received a video message or video call, and boom, it was from my parents. I thought that was interesting and impressive. So how can you get creative to find solutions in your workplace right now and not take that on as something you have to do alone? How can you create the space to co-create with others? This is not a time to isolate yourself or to take on a lot of pressure or responsibility. And I've noticed this for myself this week, moments where I think, oh, I have to figure this out all by myself. And when I actually reached out to ask for help or seek input on ideas, create the space for conversations, much better solutions emerged than if I tried to hold that alone. So it's a 2-part piece here. How can you get creative? And how can you invite others to be co-creative rather than holding this all by yourself? That's what I think courageous leaders can do in times of uncertainty. Curious, my favorite skill to talk about, and many of you I know have taken the coach training with me. The value of being curious keeps us out of trouble. It keeps us out of judgment. It keeps us out of having to have the answers. And questions are the new currency. There's been a shift going on with valuing questions for several years in the leadership literature. And I feel like this crisis, we'll call it that, has shone the light on this leadership skill. Learning how to ask smart questions, curious questions. None of us have the answers right now. And that's what's so discombobulating, is that we're looking for answers. We don't have answers to a lot of the questions that are out there. But if we stay curious about what's going on and we ask great questions to help uncover answers that we haven't thought of before, that's the new currency for leaders. This graph comes from, the source you can see at the bottom is a book called A More Beautiful Question by Warren Berger. And the value of questions in a world that's more complex and dynamic, which is the world we're in right now, the leadership skill we want to cultivate is accessing our curiosity, asking more questions in order to reveal what has not yet been revealed. Or a good question can help someone access an answer that wasn't available to them without a good question. That's the power of questions that we see in coaching all the time. When we ask a genuinely curious, open question to others, they may say, I don't know, initially. And in my follow-up question is always, well, if you did know, what would be possible? And our brains want to answer questions. So our brain will go looking in the filing cabinet of our resources mentally to find an answer. So questions help us activate good thinking in others, and it keeps us out of judgment. That's the other piece I want you to think about. When you stay curious, it keeps you out of judgment. And I think that's also a mindset place that courageous leaders are paying attention to right now. So curiosity. Here's another piece that I think courageous leaders can practice in this moment. I've heard leaders I coach talk about, well, I need to make good decisions. And especially right now, people may feel a lot of pressure to make good decisions. And so we may rush to decisions before we've sat with clarity on expectations. And I think about this in terms of our expectations of ourselves. What expectations are we holding that may be transparent to ourselves and to others, or they may be subtle, they may be subconscious. So how can you check in with yourself first on expectations that you're holding? I know this has been my work right now, is like my self-work is letting go of expectations I had for what my April was going to look like. My April 2 weeks ago was full of Dare to Lead. It was full of in-person, face-to-face experiences. And I've been managing my expectations, getting comfortable with letting go of what I thought April was supposed to be or going to be, and instead coming up with new expectations for myself. And this week, trying to practice also clear expectations with my team. And this is new for me. This is my new journey, is being a leader in my own business. And recognizing that I'm often holding expectations that I'm not sharing or I'm not clear about, and recognizing that that's hard on others. And so I have been checking in a lot on what expectations am I holding for myself and what expectations need to be communicated, and how can I be more clear with those expectations. So this is the reframe in your courageous leadership journey. When you feel pressure to make a decision or have an answer for people, I want you to just pause and check in first on what expectations am I holding for myself right now, and what expectations am I holding for others, and have I communicated clearly those expectations. For those of you that have been in Dare to Lead with us, this is one of our favorite quotes from Dare to Lead. And Brene does a great job of breaking this down and talking about clear is kind. Even those messages that are difficult to deliver, it's still kinder to be clear than unclear. And I wish this quote had crossed my radar 10 years ago when I was in organizations and leading, because I recognized that I would avoid the hard conversations often because it didn't feel kind. And in reflecting on that, I know that I missed many opportunities to be kind with clarity and to maybe deliver observations or feed forward that could support people differently in the way that they were working. Instead, I would avoid that because it didn't feel kind. And so this has really helped me reframe, you know, if we're supporting people, if our intention is to support people and to be kind, then being clear on what's working, what's not working, on what boundaries exist or don't exist, on what expectations you hold or don't hold. So embracing the idea that clear is kind, and when we're unclear, that's actually an unkind position to be taking. So if you haven't read Dare to Lead, I highly recommend it. And we're looking forward to the time when we'll be back into delivering workshops in person with Dare to Lead, because it's just been the most transformational learning experience that I've been able to create and be part of. And I'm really excited to be so connected to this work and leaning on it every day. So let's talk about connection. I'm just going to do a bit of a pause and check in here. Kayla, any questions that you want to flag for me that I could answer that are coming up in the chat?
No, not right now. And it's 12:30.
Thank you. Yeah, we're actually doing really well for time, which is great. Okay, connection. I want to talk about connection from a couple of different perspectives. First is connection to self. This is a time when knowing yourself is really important. And we want to show up in the best version of ourselves right now. And so that requires connecting to our values. And I'm gonna come back and talk about that in a minute. So connection to self is the starting place. What do you need right now to fill your bucket? Are you giving yourself permission to fill your bucket right now with all the things you are grateful for at the top of this webinar, that your friends, your family, your meaningful work, chocolate, coffee may have shown up in there. I've been connecting to coffee quite a bit. I just got a new Nespresso machine, which I highly recommend for anyone who's into coffee. It's been quite delightful in my isolation. So connecting to self, giving ourselves permission to look after ourselves. I know I've found last week more than this week even, I needed to nap in the afternoons. I would find myself just hitting a wall really hard in the afternoon. And I recognize that our mental and emotional capacity right now is just being tested and overloaded, and that can show up in many ways. And for me, it was kind of that mental exhaustion. And so be gentle with yourselves and do what you need to do in terms of looking after yourself. Connecting with others. This is, I love the reframe that's happening right now, and we're changing the language from social distancing to physical distancing and social connection. So really paying attention to that, connecting both at work with our work peeps, and even though we're working virtually and working from home, how do we stay connected? And just so grateful for all the ways that technology allows us to do that. Um, and connecting, I've been thinking a lot about, just in the last few days, our thoughts and our emotions are very influenced by the people we spend time with. So I think there's probably a reality balance here for all of us too. Sometimes we connect with people um, who may or may not fill our buckets, and then we may want to be intentional about reaching out to people we know will fill us up, and who are also cultivating a hopeful, positive mindset right now. So who are those people for you? And really being intentional about reaching out and connecting. And I'm so grateful for those people in my life, and really noticing how that energizes me and helps me stay positive and hopeful and sitting in possibilities. Community is the other piece. I know many of you here are engaged in work in the community, whether it's through education or a nonprofit organization. I think finding ways to support our community. This woman, a coach I was on a call with yesterday in a kind of a global community of coaches, she had this really amazing example of, she thought about all the people she'd been in contact with, and then she made a donation to 19 organizations that reflected the 19 people she'd been in connection with. And I see this in Victoria, the Rapid Relief Fund that's been created. People are stepping up and contributing. So there is this dynamic that when we give and contribute to community, it makes us feel good. There's a positive response within us. Giving is almost better than receiving. So how are you giving in ways that work for you right now, and feeling like you are a positive force in your community, I think is important for courageous leaders right now. So going back to this idea of values, I just wanted to create an opportunity, and I'm just going to open up the chat box because I've had it closed for a moment. What I would love for you to think about are the 1 or 2, 3 at the most values that you are leaning on right now. My observation is that what we're seeing happen both at the leadership level, certainly there's a lot of public leadership going on right now, but there's leadership and obviously everywhere in the world. For you as a leader, what values are you leaning on in this moment in time? And write them in the chat box so we can all see them flow in the chat box. For me, positivity and courage are 2 core values that I've really been leaning on. And I think about values as, when we're at our best, how do we want to show up? When we need to stretch, what are the values that we're leaning on? And for me, sometimes positivity has been a stretch, right? It's been hard at times. And being courageous is creating spaces like this, offering what I can without being perfect at it, and just being brave more than being perfect. And I'm seeing all these beautiful words come up right now. Oh, generosity, empathy, resilience. And the chat's going by me faster than I can read it all. Beautiful. Oh my goodness. I want, think if all of these values infused this, like that's what's showing up in our time together here today, all of your amazing, beautiful values. And that's what I want you to connect to as you lead and get courageous in your leadership. Your values, at the end of the day, if we know we've shown up in integrity with our values, we will be okay. It's when we get pulled out of alignment with our values that we start to feel a little icky inside. So connecting to your values and let them guide you in this moment. Thank you for that. I feel very inspired by all of your values. So let's talk about compassion. Compassion, being compassionate, I think is an underestimated leadership skill. And actually in a webinar I was on this morning, and I know a few others were there as well, it was really interesting, the connection to when leaders are compassionate. Again, it allows that prefrontal cortex to open up. So when people that we're in conversations with, or we're leading, or in our families, when we're being compassionate, people sense that in our energy, and certainly our words bring it to life. And it allows that amygdala to settle down and the prefrontal cortex to open up. So practicing compassion for others is where we go to, I think, first, often. And it's often harder to be compassionate with ourselves. So I think the real work for all of us in this moment is to practice self-compassion. Paying attention to the narrative that's going on in our heads, if we're being, that inner critic, if the inner critic is showing up too much, if we're berating ourselves for not being able to navigate through the day when all of this stuff is coming at us, how can we change that narrative to be gentler and kinder with self? Because there's research that says if we actually can't be compassionate with ourselves, we're really unable to be compassionate with others. So it starts with us. And when we practice that, being compassionate with self, we then are truly able to show up with compassion for others. So I am again going to invite Nicole to lead us through a meditation to really help us practice self-compassion.
Okay, thank you, Diane. All right, everyone. So we're going to take this time to pause and have what I would call a self-compassion break. The idea is to elicit that softening in your body. And in order to do so, going back to the same way that you positioned your bodies before with the breath work. So anchoring both of your feet down into the floor beneath you. Let your shoulders settle down away from your ears. And find some length through the back of your neck. Allow whatever natural breathing response you're having right now to continue. Don't try and manipulate or change your breathing. Just notice your breath. And so in this self-compassion meditation, I'm going to encourage you to start to notice the area in your chest where your heart sits, your physical heart. You might feel the beat of your heart, the pulse. With eyes closed, taking away any external stimulation in your room, in your space, so that you can go inwards. Can you ask yourself this question? May I be kind to myself? And then I would love for you to begin to envision someone so special, near and dear to this place in you, someone so close to your heart. Whether it's your spouse, your children, your grandchildren, your parents, whomever it might be, choose someone or a couple of people Behind closed eyes, when you paint a landscape, an image, that person or those people are there. And I want you to imagine that you are directly radiating love out to that person so strongly that they could feel that response coming from you. Continue to notice your breath, to feel your heart, and to envision this loved one. And knowing that if this person was in any sort of distress or array, feeling anxious or just uncertain about this uncertain time, or any other season of life, how might you respond or show up for this person? And now, can you change the vision, the image of that person, and see yourself just like you might look at yourself first thing in the morning in the mirror? Repeat the question, may I be kind to myself? Can you offer yourself this same love, this same compassion, self-compassion that you would so easily offer up to somebody so important in your life? Now hold the image of yourself. When we repeat the mantra, the phrase, may I be kind to myself, it's an offering. It's not an expectation or an accusation. You're creating the space to bring in more kindness, more love to your own heart, your own body, your own way of being. And I really encourage you, after we end this session today, as you go throughout the rest of your day, to check back in with yourself, coming back to that may I question, may I be kind, may I be more compassionate, and then always end it with to myself. Notice energetically how that can shift the response in your body, unraveling any tightness through your shoulders, through your brows, through your jaw. And so we can arrive back in the space together, releasing this meditation and coming back together for conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. That was wonderful. Okay, so we're just gonna reflect back on this framework. So we've explored very quickly, and I knew it would be kind of a light touch on each piece of the puzzle for today. I want you to think about which piece of the puzzle you want to lean on, maybe just for the next few days. You don't have to bite this all off at once, but maybe there's one area that could really support you right now. And I want you to think about that piece of the puzzle. I'm going to bring up another Menti code. So while you're thinking about that, I'm going to switch gears. Okay, thank you for your patience. Here we are. So back onto menti.com. This time, use the code 182447. And this is just a check-in together. I'm just curious which piece of the puzzle you'll be practicing in the near term, and we'll see where people are focusing. This is so fun. I love that calm and compassion are so strong. Lots of variety, actually. That's really interesting. That's so helpful. I'm going to give it just another few seconds. Fantastic. Thank you for participating. And I know that whatever you choose to practice in the short term is going to support you to be brave, to be courageous. And then you've got this handout, you've got this resource available to you when you're ready to switch gears and focus on another piece of the puzzle. And I think the metaphor of puzzle in leadership is really important because um, it is complex. It's a lot of pieces, a lot of skills fit together in our leadership. It is not, singular, one-dimensional. So this puzzle of leadership can be pulled apart and practiced in pieces, and you can work towards integrating the full picture. So as we start to close, I'd like you to now answer the second question, and then I'm going to give you some extra information. So the second question in your Menti is, how are you feeling as you leave this space? So let's create another word cloud just to connect. How are you feeling as we wrap up our webinar and our time together? Reminded, reflective, rejuvenated, inspired. I like that inspired sits in the middle. Calm, reassured, appreciative, refocused. Relief. Relief is a good feeling right now. This is so beautiful. Centered, hopeful. Once we get this together, I'll be screenshotting it and we'll find a way to share this out. Beautiful. And I think the bigger words, I think they show up bigger because they were said more than once. So that's what's happening there. Connected. I feel connected too. Really connected. Super fun. Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad the Menti worked. So let's come back. And I want to share a couple of resources with you. Go here. So I want to take you to a page on our website. So just checking in, can you see the website, Kayla? Courageous Leadership?
Yep.
Great. So this page, and also Kayla's going to put the URL into the chat box for you as well. So this landing page, which is on the website, just wanted you to know about this page for a couple of reasons. One, I really invite you to share this framework with your communities, with your people. I wanted it to be a framework that is shared widely so that it can support people. So feel free to share this page with folks. And for you, so I mean, the intention we're holding right now with Inspired Results Group is to just show up in this space right now and support people with our skills of coaching and help you make sense maybe of this courageous leadership framework in your context. So the three of us, Nicole, Kayla, and myself, are available for 30 minutes of free coaching. So this is all free. We wanted to create some space for people to integrate the Courageous Leadership Framework, make sense of it. So you can come to this landing page and you can scroll down, and our calendars are linked on these buttons. So you just click on book with Kayla, book with Diane, book with Nicole. Nicole has a vast experience in education. She was a teacher for many years. Her mindfulness, yoga instruction, personal wellness, those are context areas. We know in coaching you don't have to be an expert in the topic or the field, the profession that someone's coming from, but we thought we would let you know what context we all have, that sometimes people like to coach with someone who has context. My context is leadership, planning, strategy, and mentor coaching. So if you're a coach thinking about how to integrate this into your coaching, I can potentially help you with that. Kayla has extensive experience and context in philanthropy, entrepreneurship, and her passion project around demystifying personal finance. So if money is a theme, Kayla can support that theme as well. So we've got a range of contexts, a real passion for coaching, and a mission right now to just show up and to be in service of the world. And so that's what we're here for. So let me just switch back to my wrap up slide before I start crying, because I think that's going to happen as soon as we're done, and that's okay. Just stay in touch. I would be so grateful to hear from you along the way. Would be particularly interested in your feedback on the framework, how it's showing up for you. That would be really helpful to us. I am curious about how this framework can support leaders right now. So any thoughts you have about that, please feel free to share them either at my email, diane@inspiredresultsgroup.com, or coach@inspiredresultsgroup.com as well. I can hear some clicking going on. I'm just going to check my messages and see. We're good. Okay. As you check out, if you have anything you'd like to share in the chat, please do. And please know how grateful I am that you showed up for yourself for this hour and just to be with all of us. And I'm really full of gratitude. And these tears are just tears of gratitude for all of you. All right, I'm going to sit and read your messages and wish you well, and know that we're here with you. Jennifer asked a question about Zoom. The bookings can absolutely be on Zoom. So let us know if you'd like to meet on Zoom versus phone. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Sue. So great to see these names. You're welcome, Valerie. Forward to more. Yes, what could that look like? Thank you for your lovely messages, everyone. Stay healthy. Stay connected. I am going to sign off and stop the recording. Take care. Good to see you, Andrea.